Well, now it's Thursday afternoon, almost lunchtime. I done had me a bologna and cheese sandwich, and this morning bus didn't come get Junior again, so I had to take him. I called the school, told him the bus didn't pick him up again, took him to school, and on the way to take him to school, I stopped off and got me some breakfast. Now, what I call breakfast and what y'all call breakfast is two different things, because this is my breakfast right there. Every morning, that's what I have for breakfast. And then on top of it, I'll have me a bottle of tea, which I ran out a few minutes ago. Had to stop and redo my video, and came back, and of course I had to steal Junior's lemonade he got this morning. He said take it home, put it in the fridge. So sometime between now and the time he gets out of school, I'm gonna go get him a bottle of lemonade and put it in the fridge, so that way, he won't know the difference. Today, even though as sunny as it is, it's like maybe like 75 outside. It's really cool, really nice. It's like almost early fall is what it kind of feels like. Even though it is, like I said, it's really sunny, but temperatures are great, no humidity, perfect weather. It could almost be a hoodie kind of weather, but if you get in direct sunlight, you'd be pulling it off because you'd be sweating your ass off. Now, the good thing about this weather is it makes great working outside weather, because there's a lot of stuff around the yard that's been neglected, and when it's really sticky and nasty outside, you don't do it, because unless you live in an area that has a lot of humidity, you won't know the difference in the suffering and everything else. So instead of taking a shower, coming outside and taking a shower again, and then going inside to take another shower, you just don't do it. You just put it off until it gets cooler, like today. And today's gonna be one of those days I'm gonna be out here and tinkering around, messing with things, cleaning up, moving stuff, all that kind of good kind of stuff. And then finishing up, taking down the pool, cleaning out the burn barrel, because I've been burning about a week's worth of stuff in it, and I need to take the ash to the side area and dump the ash out, and so I can start on round 2. And I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but somewhere, let's see, mower's behind me, about right there, there's like about my tip of my fingers at, there's a little path that goes up in there. Now, the fella that bought the property, the two lots in front of me, there's a lot between me and him, but the lot that is in between me and him, I'm gonna go through and mow a new path going through there to connect my lot to his lot, so that way his kids can go through that without having to walk around all the weeds and everything else. I'm gonna make a straight line path, and there she be. And probably this afternoon, maybe tomorrow, I'm not sure, there's a few small individual blackberry plants back there that I am going to dig up, and I'm going to bring over here, and I'm going to plant them amongst my fence line in the front, and that way, well, they produce I call them the bumbleberries. They're wild blackberries, but they're about the size of my thumb, like that, and about that big around. And for a wild one to be that big, but I'm gonna tell you now, it's like a rose bush and a sawbriar mixed together. They got some massive thorns on it, and that will tear you up badly. But it's worth it to me, because they're really juicy, they're really flavorful. They are seedy, but they're big berries and they taste really good, and I will deal with the pain picking them than, you know, picking the smaller. Now the small berries, you know, they're good too, but them other ones, man, they're juicy, flavorful, and everything you can think of. Now, I do have a small little raised bed on the side yard. I put some stuff in. Now, I'm going to dig those up eventually and transplant them over here. Superfly, get over here. But where I tore out the side fence of the side goat area, I tore a lot of stuff out and moved stuff out. We're going to set up markers probably this weekend and get an idea about how wide and long we're going to make the beds and kind of go from there. I would like to get at least one row started, so what I'm thinking about doing is getting one row started, and then from that taking some of the plants I have over here in the temporary bed and moving them over and letting them, you know, start in that one row and kind of go from there. So at least that way I'll have at least one row started, and then we'll have to make up the cross. Well, the main pole come up. I have a longer bar at the bottom and a smaller one on top, and then run wire from end to end. So that way, when I top them out, they'll get bushy and wider, and the wire will support the branches, and it won't be like tossing this way or tossing that way. And that way I can have everything structurally set up, and, you know, instead of just like, you know, being grown on the side of the fence, I'll have a cage wire on both sides, and they'll, you know, be uniformly lateral with, you know, being grown out and bushed around it. It'll make picking a lot easier too, because the ones I have over here are thornless. Put them over in those rows. I figure about 3 rows. Each row is going to be about 16 foot long, probably, let's see, 3, maybe 4 foot wide, and yeah, easy peasy. Throw some mulch on it, get some good fertilizer, a good weed barrier on top of it as well. That way I don't have grass growing up amongst the plant. And yeah, I mean, what else? I would say what could go wrong, but with anytime I say something like that, all kinds of things can go wrong. So, but the other day I didn't bring them inside. I left them outside. I picked some of my Mexican chili peppers, about standard size of one. Nothing major. They're not very big. You might get a couple in here that are, you know, about like that. I was going to string these. I still might. I got a couple of my cayennes in here as well. I might string those with it. String them up and take them to market for you know, string peppers. That way you can hang them up and let them dry, crush them up and make your own powder flake, or however you want to do it. But I do got some more peppers out here that's soon to be, within probably today or tomorrow. I will cut, take the stems off, grind them up, and add them to my hot pepper mashing I have in the house, and just kind of let everything kind of merge together, and, you know, go from there. Because that's going to be the wintertime special, and yeah, it's going to be some pretty hot shit. I ain't gonna lie. Because once I let it ferment and do its magic, then I'm going to add my vinegar to it. I'll add white vinegar, and I'll let it merge in that for a little bit, and then after that it merges and does its thing, and I'm going to do like more or less like a 50% pepper, maybe a 20% vinegar. But I want it kind of thickish. And once I do that, I'll stick it back in the food processor thing, and I'll grind it up even more, and kind of go from there, and probably strain it and sift it and take a lot of the seed and pulp out of it, and just leave behind some of the finer particles and the vinegar form, and bottle it and let people burn their guts out for Christmas, because it won't be me. Now, my elderberry plant over there, some of the heads are starting to get a good kind of color turn to it. So I'm going to be over there shortly this afternoon. I'm going to take my step ladder that I had in the back of the house that I removed when I put the fence up, because I didn't want the goats to climb up the step ladder. And I'm going to put it on the side of the house, that way I can, house is here, step ladder is going to be here, elderberry plant's right here, so I can kind of walk up the back side of it, and I can get to the top of it, because the top of my elderberry plant is probably about 14 foot high. It went from about, I think this April, May, it was about up to here on me, and now it's like 14 foot high. I'm like 5'8", so yeah, that's grown that much since May, and it's still getting taller. And I got concrete wire wrapped around it, because the branches, the top part was so heavy they were starting to like come down. So instead of trying to find a way to tie them up, I just took some concrete wire and made a big old roll around it like a cage, and now they're leaning out this way, but the concrete wire is strong enough to where it'll hold it. So yeah, it's doing pretty well for, I paid like $10 for it I paid $10 for it in 2019. Yeah, 2019, so about last year. And I put it in the ground in October, and from about this time to October is when I put it in the ground, and from being this tall to 14 foot is how big it's gotten, and it's still growing, which I'm happier than a pig and slop. So I'm looking at probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, possibly 10 large clusters of elderberry. Now, bad thing of it is, a small bird will get on those little branches, which won't make it go down, and them birds will eat it to death. Because I'm looking at one cluster, it looks like it's been eaten pretty well by some birds, which they got to eat too, so I can't complain. Excuse me. Lemonade's coming back up. Not agreeing with me. But yeah, I've been kind of fiddle-farting around most of the summer, putting things off because it was too hot to do anything. Now today's perfect weather. I mean, perfect weather. And after I make this video, I'm gonna go download it, put it on YouTube, and while it's doing this thing on YouTube, I'm gonna be out here cleaning up, straightening up, sweeping the porch off, picking up stuff, moving stuff around, putting the what do you call it? Extension cords, wrapping them up real good, hanging them in the shed, moving stuff around, getting things ready for, I guess, fall, since it's going to be fall in about a week technically, or less. And then I guess I'll speed up my process of getting things ready for winter, and come out here and dig up some of my hot pepper plants and put them all together in a container bucket and take them inside for winter. I picked probably a little over a quart of cherry tomatoes about 2 days ago, and I probably got about maybe a pint's worth of picking off there right now. And a lot of people I know, they've been tearing their tomato plants out and everything else. I'm like, why would you tear them out? They're still producing. Of course, that's what everybody does around here. About this time of year, everybody pulls out their tomatoes and plant something else. I'm leaving my tomatoes in. I'm gonna keep letting them grow, and I'm gonna keep picking until I can't pick anymore. Because even though I don't eat tomatoes, I make salsa with it. I make sauce with it. I know people that do enjoy eating them still. I've taken some to my neighbor across the street. I get them a bunch to my mom. And this is what kills me. In the beginning of the year, I was talking with like 2 or 3 friends of mine. And I'm like, I know since y'all don't garden and everything else, what would you like for me to grow? That way you could have anything on hand, and basically anything on hand to eat. And basically everybody told me tomatoes. So I grew a ton of tomatoes. And believe it or not, I've taken some to Puckett. I tried to give him a bunch to Adam a while back, and he's like, well, he wants to store and bought them. I was like, well, what the hell's the sense of me growing them if you're going to go store and buy them? So, and I took a bunch to market. I sold a bunch at the market, and it was kind of comical when I was at the market. People were like, because I was a little ways up from the other vendors, and of course the people by me towards the end of the row area, they looked at mine, asked me how much I wanted for them. I told them, and then they walked down there to the other people's, and they walked back up and bought mine. So, and of course they asked me, they're like, well, why do you sell them so cheap for? I have a yard full of tomato plants. I got more than I can even wanted to grow. But I got a lot of pepper plants too. And but yeah. So now my poblano peppers, they're ready to be cut right now. But I'm gonna wait until probably Saturday or Saturday evening and cut them. And I'm gonna take some poblano peppers with me. A lot of my timotala, I haven't want to call them, the little Mexican green tomato that you use in salsa and salsa verde. I got a bunch of them. I'm gonna cut and take to the market with me, and I'll probably end up taking 2 or 3 pints of cherry tomatoes, and I'm gonna take 1 pint to Ray. He's one of the vendors up there. I got some of my blackberries from his place, and I told him I'd bring him some, and of course he's tickle pink. And I'll take some excess with me and put them up there for sale. And then after that, I'm going to I'll take my remaining extract that I have. I've made a few more candles, and that's about it really. Peppers, tomatoes, candles, extract, and maybe some strung peppers I string up. But other than that, that's about it. Oh yeah, I gotta take that lady in a pack of jars, and then depending on my elderberry over here, how ready they are, I might clip a few heads if they're ready enough, and put them in a bag, like a freezer bag, and seal them up, put them in the freezer, and then take them to them. Or I might just wait. Well, I hate to leave them if they're ready to be cut, because if they're ready, the birds will get to them. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see about the elderberries. But I do know I have to empty out my burn barrel. It's full of ash right now, and I'm gonna dump it off to the side of the yard and let all the ash stuff from that kind of neutralize and fertilize where it needs to be done at. And I do have some other stuff I need to dig through and remove, and reburn again, which, you know, just happens. The joys of living in the country / county. I can sit in my yard. I can shoot my 22s. I can pee in my yard. I can burn anything I want in my yard. Well, in my burn barrel anyway. You can't do that in the city, because you'd have cops and the fire department and whoever else knocking at your door. You can't do that in the city limits. And that's why I moved out here out in the county, so that way I could do things like that. I had enough of city living growing up as a kid. Yeah, city living is convenient. You know, you're closer to places, stuff like that. You know, you're kind of closer to some of your friends. But in actuality, how most of my friends have been in the past few years, I'm glad I live out in the county and away from them, so I don't care one way or another. Now, a few of my friends live out in the county as well, and they come over here, and I go over there. So, you know, it's kind of an even turnout. Not all the time, but occasionally. Now, Adam does come over here a lot of times, more so than I've been to his place. But the only reason he comes over here a lot more times because on his way back from work he'll stop in because my place is on the way back to his place. And he has come up here quite often over the past, you know, few months. And, you know, we've hung out. He's worked on some stuff of mine and cooked out, shot fireworks, blew up the neighbor's yard, and you know, just had fun. I do think, as much as it's going to pain me, I might have to trim some of these branches on this elderberry, on this mulberry tree. But I'm going to keep all the main ones where this canopy is. I'm going to leave these where they're at. And because next year, hopefully, we won't have a killing frost in the first part of May when everything's in bloom. And we can harvest a lot of elderberry. We can harvest a lot of mulberry off the tree. In 2019, we got roughly 2.5 gallons of berries off the tree. And people are like, "Why you pick them for? They're itty bitty." The same reason I pick itty bitty blackberries, because I make jelly or juice or cobbler with it. And I tell you what, you get a good mulberry and you throw it in a handful of blackberry and you put it in a cobbler, you'll never tell the difference, ever. You will never tell, because they taste identical to a blackberry. Now, I do have things around here I should be doing right now besides talking to you on a video, but as you see, I'm talking to you on a video. Top 10 reasons why I procrastinate. Number 1. I used to have a shirt that said that. Couldn't tell you what happened to it. It was great. But I do know I need to pick some peppers over there so I can add it to my mash supply. And there's a ton of Thai peppers on here I need to pick. I'll do that here in a little bit. And then I'll have to come through here and probably pick up a lot of sticks after I dump out the burn barrel and load it up with sticks and everything else, and get rid of a lot of the sticks in the yard. I do know I need to mow the high grass over there, which I kind of thought about letting it get kind of higher and then cutting it with a bush pruner and having it in giant clumps instead of just shredding it, and then taking the larger clumps, throwing over the fence for the goats. And sometime between now and Saturday, we're going to work on making the beds over here for my blackberry patch that I'm going to be putting my thornless over here on the side and marking some things off and getting, you know, at least the layout, you know, how I want it. And I also have to look online for another American elderberry plant, because I'm going to put another one kind of somewhat about 10 feet behind it. So I'll have an elderberry and another elderberry And then it'd be like elderberry, 3 rows, well, my fingers are right, 3 rows of thornless blackberries, and then on the other side of it, I have no idea what I'm going to put there. I might put in a tree in place of the wild cherry that I'm going to be cutting out of there. I might put an apple tree there, maybe. I don't know. I got an old-fashioned green apple in the front. It's a dwarf, but it's growing pretty damn tall. And it was kind of comical. I know I probably shouldn't have done this, but I did anyway. Before they sold the back lot back here in the back, there was a great big ass crab apple tree. Now it had crab apples probably about that big around, about the size of a quarter, maybe a little bit bigger. And so I got a handful of them crab apples. And on the side of my apple tree, I kind of dug out a little pocket. I took those handful of crab apples and I threw them inside there and put the dirt back on top of it. So now, here's my apple tree, and I got a great big portion of a crab apple tree growing up beside it. And of course, the crab apple tree is not as big as what the one back there was, but the one back there was huge. This one's maybe 2.5 years old, so it's probably about that big around base wise. But now in the spring, when the crab apple blooms and the apple tree blooms, it's kind of like a cross-pollinating between a crab apple and an apple. So my apples are a lot bigger than what they used to be on that small dwarf, because I used to get apples off my tree about that big around. Well, now I got apples about that big around. And that's only because I put the crab apples plants, the tree part of it, it's growing up right beside or through my apple tree, which might be a bad thing, but I did it anyway. But my apples are huge this year, so hopefully they have a little bit of tartness to it, hopefully. And that way I can use them for, whenever I go to the orchard down in Hodgenville and I get a bag of apples from them, if they have them, if the frost didn't kill them. But I'm going to take a bag of apples from them along with the apples on my tree, and I'm going to make apple jelly. And I'll can that up and we'll have a big old lot of that. I got more blackberries in the freezer, which I'm going to be making jelly with that. And I have the mulberries in there as well. I got a big old thing of grapes. I'm going to probably process either this afternoon or tomorrow, one of the two. And we're going to make grape jelly with that. And I thought about mixing a little bit of blackberry with the grape to kind of make a weird kind of jelly, because I like weird jellies, and I thought about doing that. So, but yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do. Well, actually, all kinds of things I can do to keep myself busy. But I think I'm gonna call it and cut video, go inside and do what I need to do, download it while it's downloading, put it on YouTube, type in my information, blah 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 blah, and come out here and start doing some pickup and moving and cutting and cleaning and everything else. And I know my wife won't nag, she'll be happy to see me do it. So yeah, I think I'm done. I've got too much stuff I want to do, get my hands dirty, get the ball rolling. So I will see you all sometime soon, hopefully. Knock on wood. And I'll see you soon.